Do you feel the fight? Can you see the encroaching evil as it attacks your family and your community? It's time to rise up with the heart of a warrior and make a stand for those you love. You're listening to The Warrior's Heart. I'm Chuck Black, former F-16 fighter pilot, speaker, and author of 22 books written to strengthen the faith of you and your family. It is my heart to equip you to live for Jesus Christ in this compromised culture of today.
In this episode of the Warrior's Heart podcast, Chuck and I bring in someone special, one of his children, Ian, and we talk specifically how to keep your family together when one of your children is pushing back. Hi, and welcome to the Warrior's Heart podcast. As you may have noticed, we have one extra person on the studio here today. This is Ian Black, and we are super excited to be doing an interview specifically with him today.
Ian is my third child, my number 2 son. And for those of you that have come to any of my sessions at the conferences, you may have heard a story or two about Ian. He's an amazing man. And during his growing up years, he did give me ample opportunity to grow as a father. And so,
what a nice way to put that.
we're going to talk about some of that today. And Ian, I'd love for you to just take a minute and share a little bit about who are you, what are you doing, where are you at in life?
Well, I am first and foremost, a dad and a husband and a follower of Christ. I've got 4 kids. We have 4 kids, 2 boys.
I was part of that.
Yep, you played a part of it.
Oh, thanks.
So we have 2 boys, Charlie and Bjorn, and then 2 girls afterwards, Anya and Lily, and they are what take up in a wonderful way just about all of our time, which we love and adore. It's one of the hardest things that we do for sure, which gives us so much more respect for our parents, understanding more what they went through to raise us. But it's one of the hardest things, but it's also of course one of the best things. And so that's obviously a big part of my life. Another part, of course, is working. And so I'm the operations manager at Flowcore Systems. What really was a family company, but has grown beyond that to encompass a lot of other great people. And we're always excited about what we're building and manufacturing and building things, and design in general is just things that are near and dear to my heart. I love good design, and doing it with people that you care about is always really a blessing. So.
Andrea and I are blessed beyond measure. We have been able to enjoy some things we didn't even think to ask the Lord for. Ian and Tess purchased the home right across the alley, so they're like 100 feet away, and we get a lot of grandkid visits, which is amazing. And then just recently, our oldest son, Reese, left the Air Force and came to work for the company as well as a mechanical engineer and a fabrication division manager. And they happened to buy the house 2 doors down to the south of us. So we were surrounded, and the rest of our kids aren't that far away either. So it's kind of surreal, and we are just so grateful and so thankful that our kids still don't mind being around us.
I think we anticipated that we would get a number of them home, but maybe not Reese. And so that was a treat. Reese is my next older brother. He and I are closest in age of any of the siblings, actually. And so we were pretty inseparable as kids. And so, but once he left for the Air Force, I thought that was pretty much it. Yeah. We would see him a couple times a year from there on out. But
maybe
a
couple times a year.
Maybe. So to have them back has been amazing. And he's really also very good at his job. So it's nice to be able to say that honestly. And to have him here.
You're actually glad he's here.
Yes. Yeah. No, he's doing great. So
4 of our children work at this automation company that we have. We have 29 employees at Flowcore Systems, and 2 of my son-in-laws work there. We're still missing one of our kids back in Williston, and Brittany is a pharmacist over in Fargo, but we have our hook in them because her husband is a programmer that we utilize for all of our telemetry programming. And so we're going to try to start pulling that rope in a little bit.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
I think you and I can brag a little bit that we started it.
Yeah.
We did. And, I had no intention of coming back home. But the money is a thing. And, and there was a good opportunity. Of course, oil was doing really well at the time. I went to school for public relations and advertising, graduated with that, and just was not, I was struggling to actually get a job.
It was a tough market at the time.
It was a tough market. It was 2009. So 2008, 2009, that was not a great time for the economy.
Yep.
And just to get even a mid to low paying job was a challenge. It was kind of wild. Not what we were promised or expected.
Yes.
Right.
So then the opportunity to come home and make really good money and live at home for free was amazing. And so it was just too much of a good opportunity.
The oil industry had a great opportunity for young guys and gals even looking to kickstart their careers. And so came home, worked hard, paid off his school loans, got married, bought a house, and here we are. Had 4 children.
Here we are.
So, Tess, take us into some of the things that we want to talk about with Ian and his growing up.
First off, before we really jump into the full content of what we're doing today, I want to ask Ian a couple questions that I think, now the goal eventually is to do one of these with every single one of your children.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be fun to do a few questions that we will ask each one of them before diving into the topic that we're going to specifically cover. So the first question that we're going to do is, what are some questions that you always get about being Chuck's kid?
So when we go to conferences or speaking engagements for Chuck, it is often that somebody will come up to me and then ask me kind of a question, and then it feels like they have more questions, and then they don't really ask that question. I don't know. So what I would say is I'll give you one. There is one question I get, and it's does Chuck ever sleep? That's definitely a recurring one. I don't know if what I said before really made any sense, but it seems like there's a bunch of questions and then they don't really know what to say. I don't know. So, but that's one for sure. Does Chuck sleep?
What's your answer?
No, Chuck does not sleep.
No,
he does not. No, and then I guess I would say, then they ask me, well, do you sleep? And I say, yes, I do sleep. All of us kids sleep. Some of us enjoy that sleep more than others. I'm one of the children that enjoys that sleep. And so, I definitely sleep. I sleep probably, 8 or 9 hours a day. So I did not catch that at all from Chuck. I can go without sleep for a time, but I don't know, something. The way Chuck was born, the way he was wired, he's just able to do that.
I'm just going to add into that just kind of a funny conversation I had with Ian's sister, who's the production manager out at Flowcore Systems, and she was sharing with me. She said, "Dad, growing up, I thought I was like lazy or something because I was watching you and Mom, and Andrea and I are both pretty type A." He said, "Then I left home and I realized, no, it was Mom and Dad. They're just weird." Yeah. So we're pretty high energy, I guess. But
I would say there was maybe 2 years in college where I didn't sleep a lot, but that was very obvious that wasn't sustainable for me.
An outlier situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I felt like it was a train. I was coming in hot. Took me a while to build up steam, right? And later high school, I really focused on my academics, and I got to college and I was full steam ahead and going hard. And then after 6 months of being at college, it was like they pressed the button to put the brakes on. And then it was just trying to get to the end of the college career. But there was a couple of years where I was going very hard.
Yeah.
And
those
not
are
sleeping
intense
a
years.
ton, so.
Yeah. All right. What else, Tess?
Mm-hmm. What are some memories that you have of the ministry growing up? And what did you sort of think about it all growing up in that environment? The ministry was in full swing by the time you were in junior high.
Yeah. The first book was written when I was 7 years old, I want to say.
Right. Yeah.
In 97. And my first memories were obviously just the small little conventions that we were doing. And it was good to see people that we were starting to build relationships with, that also cared about, the ministry and furthering the Lord's kingdom and that sort of thing. So I just saw it as a fun thing that families did to get together and see your friends. And it was that for sure. Absolutely. It grew, I would say the first few years, just like, anything it grew a little slowly at first.
Yeah.
And then it was, probably junior high or probably more like early high school where it's really started to pick up steam.
Yeah.
And then, I was obviously very proud of my dad for what it was doing for people. I know that especially as I look towards college, and we're kind of now past that little rebellious stint or whatever. I was grateful and honored that maybe my story a little bit had a small part in encouraging specifically, fathers and mothers about their kids.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I definitely, I've always felt, I'm more of a vocal person in our family, but when it came to the ministry, I always felt like I was more okay with being behind the scenes in that regard. So to do this today is fun. It's definitely fun. To see my dad, who was an introvert, up on stage talking to lots of people was always just a little odd, for sure. Absolutely.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So Ian was phenomenal at the booth because he just was always willing and eager to engage with people. Yeah. So half of our children are introverts and the other half are not introverts, somewhere in between. But Ian, I could always rely on Ian to willingly engage with people and represent us very well. So you did that fantastic. Yeah, those years were formative in many ways. We talked about creating. You don't even have to create a family ministry, but just be engaged with a ministry that your family can all get behind. I think helps foster that unity that we talked about last time. And so sometimes they're willing participants, sometimes maybe not as much, and that's okay because not all of the work that we do for the Lord is just always fun all the time, and sometimes it really is just work. And so that's a good principle to teach as well. So.
Lots of boxes. I put that in my notes.
Lots of boxes.
Unloading boxes of books. Lots of books. I definitely remember that. Yeah, for sure. So
yeah.
Awesome. That's fun. So we're going to jump in now to the full topic that we want to discuss with you here. I'm going to jump right off the bat with a question to you, Ian. You went through a period in your teenage years where your attitude at home could be considered a little bit rebellious, definitely some pushback towards mom and dad. And what sort of emotions do you remember feeling at that time towards your family, maybe your parents specifically, towards your faith, right, that you had grown up with at this time? What do you remember feeling at that time when you were going through that?
Yeah, life is ups and downs and different seasons of life. And so even as a child, even though it's short stints, a small stint in a child's life, feels like a big stint, right?
Yeah.
And so I would say, really maybe junior high is when that heart really started to emerge and show itself a little bit. I don't think that I probably had much of a rebellious or, naughty kid syndrome or something until maybe then 7th or 8th grade.
I would agree.
I think most of it really stemmed out of wanting to be cool, wanting to fit in, wanting to be with sports were very important to me. So
some peer pressure, maybe.
Some peer pressure,
sure,
absolutely. So and kids are always at that time in life they're feeling lots of different things, lots of different emotions, lots of pulls. So I think that's certainly in a simple context where it started.
Yeah,
for sure. I felt loved by my family always. There's always things in a family. There's always, arguments at times and things like that. But,
yeah. Some friction from siblings from time to time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is and now I would be, again, of course, I'd be the same or worse with my own kids. But Friday nights, I loved them and I hated them, right? Because it was fun to be with family, and some of my fondest memories were, doing our Friday family fun night, pizza and movie, and hanging out playing games and stuff. But then at the same time,
Yeah.
That's when my friends were hanging out.
Right.
That's when I wanted to go out. I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to start hanging out with girls. And that's really when that started to, I think, show its head, is push back against you and mom and even Brittany as that like second mom.
Yeah.
She always held that Friday family fun night in high regards.
She did. Yeah. So did Abby. And so interesting. Looking back now, of course, you're looking at it from a dad's perspective.
Yeah.
But even before you became a dad, as you look back in that, do you feel like what we asked you to sacrifice was worth it? I mean, if you could go back and do it again, would you have just gone with your friends on Friday nights?
Yeah, it's obviously so silly to think about,
Yeah.
like, and you can't possibly get a child to understand at that time. I just don't think, I don't know if it's really possible.
To get them to,
it has to be a level of trust in the relationship that you have with your child, because for them to understand that though these people are, a lot of them are good people.
Yeah.
Like I am, I adore so many of these people that I was friends with at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, even this week I see them and I give them a hug and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, they're still not your family.
Yeah.
They're still a little bit outside your circle, and there is nothing more special than that time that you have with your family, to build those memories.
Yeah.
Especially with your parents.
Yeah.
So it looks silly
from here.
From here, absolutely.
Well, and the reason I pushed that direction a little bit is because for mom and dads out there, sometimes you have to do what's right for your children, even though they don't see it. And if they mature as they should, especially in the spirit, they'll come back and understand and appreciate, even though they maybe fought you at the time. And so I remember the same thing with homeschooling. I remember you came back and said, because you really wanted to go to the Christian school and be with your friends and and later on you came back and said, thank you so much for homeschooling. I mean, I just think I would have been miserable. So, and that's hard sometimes, mom and dad, when you have to kind of put the stake in and say, no, this is what is best for you. But do it, make sure that relationship is in there.
Yeah.
But also do it in a way with some empathy as well. Say, I understand where you're coming from, but I just need you to trust that we're doing what we feel is right for you and best for you, and hopefully someday you'll understand that. So I think when they at least see that mom and dad care about my feelings in this, it might be a little easier to toe the line and get in step. So
well, I think another thing that fun was really still an important part of our childhood.
Yeah.
That wasn't something. It wasn't as if you said. I'm saying that you didn't let us hang out with friends. You did, of course, absolutely. And you encouraged it. You had, our home was an active place where you invited them over. But to have teenage kids over, in daylight hours is a better environment and conducive to biblical behavior.
Yep.
Yeah, please.
There was there's a story you told me once, and I've never forgot it. I think you were in like a freshman or something in high school, and you said that you were on the bus with your friends. Maybe you should tell a story if you know what I'm talking about. You were on the bus with your friends, and you started having a conversation about who had the best birthday party this last year.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And your answer I just about fell over. So tell that if you would.
I've tried to model that with my own kids too, like
because we were the ultra conservative family.
Yeah.
We were the ones that didn't allow our kids to do some things that everybody else let their kids do. So our kids felt that a little bit of that, exclusion factor hitting them. And so anyway, that's why this story really stuck out to me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely. Well, and I'll give the thunder away a little bit right at the beginning. What it requires is sacrifice from the parents.
Yeah.
In this case, I think especially you taking time to prepare such big, enormous, fun events, for me, like that doesn't, as a child that goes unnoticed, but not now as a dad, thinking about how much time and effort that we have put in, for our own children, for their own similar experiences, that requires less hunting, less,
golfing.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get, I mean, nights and weekends are taken up by trying to make these important memories for your kids. So yeah, absolutely. No, I had the best birthday party of probably any kid in the city.
Your friends all agreed with you.
They totally all agreed.
They all voted that you had the best birthday party.
It was
interesting because I just never expected your friends to think that our home and your birthday party would be the best thing that they'd gone to for birthdays.
Our birthday, my birthday was amazing I'll never forget it because, all the friends over, and some of which were a fair amount older than me, but they were just like right in it with me. We had, Chuck had, and this was the one with the racetrack.
Yeah.
Where he spent a lot of time, energy, and even money at the time, right?
Yeah.
To build this table for us in the basement that was the perfect setting stage for our racetrack, electric racetrack that we could do. And then he spent time building a tournament board and prizes. And then I actually won, which was wild because I was one of the younger.
Yeah.
Most of my friends were a little bit older than me. And so
Reese's
age, exactly. So, or even Brittany's age. I remember a couple of them. And so, for me to actually win was like amazing. It was just absolutely, I mean, it was all downhill from there. I mean, honestly, like it couldn't get any.
I remember it came down to the last final stretch and you beat the guy by a fraction of an inch.
We made the turn and I just like, if you've ever used those electric race car sets or whatever, if you go on a corner, you're going to go flying.
Right.
But we're just trying to get across the finish line. I just squeezed that thing all the way. And I made it across the finish line first, and my car just went into multiple pieces. But I won, and I won the Whoppers candy.
Yeah, the Whoppers candy,
yep.
The ultimate prize.
Exactly. It was amazing. So
yeah.
And that was one of multiple things, actually, for that birthday party. I know we played tag outside. I mean, there was multiple things where it was super, super fun and made special for me. So.
And I think this is kind of leading into the question, Tess, about even though there were times when Ian pushed back and he was challenging from time to time, those kind of moments are anchor points. That when when a child questions, do mom and dad really care? Yeah. They can go back to them, wait, yeah, they did this. Okay, I just got to get through this. Yeah. So put as many anchors down as you can.
Yeah. That actually leads into our question of the podcast.
Okay.
Ian, you know this. Your dad has a question of the meal oftentimes when you have family meals. And so we have taken that and twisted it a little bit for our podcast to a question of the podcast that Chuck gets to answer. Now, in this instance, you both get to answer. Lucky you.
Oh, good.
But it's a great question. The question is, what was one of your favorite things to do with your dad growing up, and why was it meaningful for you?
So am I answering this first?
You go ahead.
Are you answering for JK?
I'll answer for JK.
Yeah.
You answered.
Okay, sounds good. Well, being one of 6, as you were one of 7, you know how valuable that time is one-on-one with your parents. Yeah. That is almost unheard of. So Chuck always made a great effort to have us go out for our birthday lunch. Just me and dad, or me and mom and dad. And that was huge. Like, absolutely loved that. And this will feel good and hurt a little bit when I tell you this part.
Here it comes.
Let's see, I am 35 years old. I'm starting to get gray hairs. And I can tell you the time that you took me out to KFC for my birthday lunch.
Okay.
And another man that you knew came over and started talking to him and would not leave. And we had an hour, and the guy took up probably 45 minutes and talked the whole time, and I felt absolutely robbed.
I will take you out for another birthday meal.
I will take it.
I had no idea how important that was to our kids. Emily said the exact same thing. A man came and kind of robbed her whole birthday meal, and she almost cried. And to this day, she will tell us how that hurt. And I was like, wow, I didn't know how important that was. So I think we did take her back out because we could see, but you didn't express your
No.
hurt so much. So I'll fix that.
Yeah. So parents, take your kids out to a meal and do something fun with just them individually, especially if you have, you know, multiple kids like that. That means the world to them. I know it did for me. So
Yeah, Mom was really good about making sure we did that. So a lot of credit to Andrea. And she was really good at realizing what things were important to kids. And I just got good at listening to her. What else do you have for us,
No,
Tess?
it's your turn now. You have to say,
that's right.
what was your favorite thing to do with your dad?
Well, it actually very similar. So I was the youngest of 7, and my dad was just an incredible man. If I wasn't going to be a good dad, I had no reason, and no excuse, because he did it well. He was very relational oriented, and I, like you, cherished the time I had with him one-on-one. Mm-hmm. So that one-on-one time, Mom and Dad, it's special. But that didn't happen like hardly ever until, being the youngest, Doug left home and I was the only one left. And now I was still a sophomore in high school. But wow, I cherished those 2 years because I got to spend more one-on-one time with my mom and my dad in particular than I'd ever got to. And I recognized it as special. And so we would go out in the shop and build something together and work side by side. And I just, the smell of the wood shop, him teaching me, he would sit down at the table, we'd draw out a plan, and then I'd go out and do some more, and he'd come out and help me a little bit, and that was just precious time. So same thing, one-on-one time, that I knew that he was sacrificing his time and money, because he bought all my wood, so that I could build a project with him and learn from him. And he taught me well. He was a cabinet builder in his earlier years, so I had a lot to learn. So there you go.
There you go. One-on-one time. There's a theme there.
I've got one more real quick, if I can.
Please do.
I mean, it's one-on-one time again, but it's a specific memory that was later. It was right before college. It was senior year of high school, and of course, basketball was so important to me.
Yeah.
I just loved it so much. And I remember going up to the rec center, and obviously my whole childhood, if we're going to do something, you always encouraged us to do heartily as to the Lord, not the men, give our best, give our all. And so it was the same with basketball. I knew I wasn't going pro at this point. It finally become apparent. But every time we would play basketball, obviously you had pointers for me to work on, things for us to improve on. And my junior year, just really, really worked hard. And then we're going into my senior year, and then we're up at the rec center. And I remember you were rebounding for me, and it was, Reese was on the other court, so I was there. It was kind of felt like one-on-one, for a time. And I that was the best basketball. Obviously, it was kind of the culmination of everything we've been working towards, right? Yeah. And I just remember that I asked you what you thought or what I need to work on, and you didn't have anything for me. And I felt so happy in that moment.
Really?
It was like, my dad thinks that I'm good at this to the point where he can't really find anything critical to work on. Yeah. I'll never forget that either.
That's interesting.
I felt very, very, very proud of the work that I'd put into it. Yeah. And every son wants their dad to be proud of them.
You knew that your approval in that area didn't come easy, I'm sure.
No, I felt like it never came easy. Exactly.
But never in a harsh way. Just
no, never in a harsh way. I would say I want to make sure to specify that my dad, you were never a harsh dad, whatever, but very analytical. Yeah, very engineering minded.
Maybe sometimes maybe a little too cold-hearted, a little analytical, but never with a hurtful intention or anything like that. Yeah. And you bring up a really good point, especially in today's fatherlessness. Mm-hmm. There is just especially for a young man, there is such an inner desire to have the approval of a dad or a father figure. And so for you young men out there that may be listening that don't have that, first of all, my heart goes out to you. But the Lord's family has built-in men that can step into that role, and even if it's for some mentorship, even for a short time, or even like sometimes if you find a quality man, he may not have a lot of time. You know, and that's happened many times with me. But even to take a lunch or something, you know, if you can get a lunch with him, you know, once, twice, 3 times a year, just to have him speak into your life, that's powerful, and it can replace that emptiness that's there because a dad is missing or something. So, all right.
All right, Ian. So during this time where you were pushing back against your family, where, you know, your heart was a bit hardened against them, I know I have heard rumors of military school being threatened even at one point.
I don't think so.
I don't know this is coming up.
We were the military school.
Oh yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
So do you remember recognizing anything at that time of your parents trying to reach out to you, trying to soften your heart, do you remember any of the things, or even maybe you didn't recognize them at the time, but looking back now, you can see that that's what they were trying to do?
Well, I think, you know, first thing I would start with is being a parent. The amount of work that a mother has to endure on the day-to-day is absolutely just so much more massive than I, you know, thought as a kid. And so, man, I'm so relieved to go to work every day. I'm so relieved. So I know that, you know, when I think about when I think back, my memories were probably more that Dad's level of tolerance, not tolerance for bad behavior, but for compassion was extreme, you know, and maybe it wasn't the same level as Mom, but that's totally tainted by the fact that Mom was with us every single day.
No break for her.
Yeah. And she was taking us to all the activities. Mom was trying to give us our dreams, you know, by giving us absolutely every single opportunity, you know, while you were obviously the primary care provider for the family.
Right.
So when it came to, you know, my rebellious attitude, most of those moments where, you know, my parents were reaching out to me, we're probably mostly came through you as the conduit, like talking, sitting down with me one-on-one.
Right. Yeah.
And taking the time for your children, when you have so many other children, a job, a wife.
Yeah.
There were many times where you would come and sit next to me and just talk with me, just ask me about sports or school or whatever it may be. And there were many times where I came to you because as much as I had that rebellious heart, I still value that relationship because of those anchor points that you talked about earlier. You know, I think that can't be, I'd like to highlight that again, you know, building those memories. You can think of them as anchor points within your child's life. That's what it truly is, what's going to keep them connected to you. Because if you can't communicate with your child, I think it's hard to win that battle.
Yeah.
It's hard to win that battle. That communication, that conduit for communication is really the only way that you can guide or give influence over good or bad decisions that they will inevitably have to make or will be making in their life. I don't know if that totally answers the question exactly with specific examples, but that open line of communication was always there with us.
Well, you would set a precedent, I'm sure, early on of having conversations even before, right, the hardened heart developed.
Yeah.
That is one thing that Andrea and I tried really hard to do, was make sure that one of us had a good, strong relationship with each of the children at all times, preferably both of us, but that wasn't always necessarily possible.
Yeah.
So that relationship, I think I heard, or I think I read somewhere where it says, parent, if you're struggling in your relationship with a child, just know that they're struggling in their relationship with you too. And so it goes both ways. And since we're the mature ones, we have to do the mature thing and try to figure out how to fix that. So Ian was what I would call a very dynamic individual. He was very high and very low at times. And so, but the thing that I really appreciated about you, Ian, is that you were always willing to talk. And even when you were upset, even when you were maybe pushing back on us super hard. So we would sit down in a room and in my office and just get it out. And you were very transparent, very honest. And that really helped, I think, me to sort out just what I needed to do to help you and me both through that stressful time. I will share one story about Ian and pushback. There was one particular day. I don't know if you remember this. I bet I will. I bet you. There was one particular day where Ian was just really, really struggling, pushing back hard. And I had talked to you, and just couldn't get through. And you were just, and it was just bad. And everything I tried, I exhausted all of my wisdom, which wasn't very much, and all of my effort to try to break through and get you to have a humble heart about the situation. Yeah. And it just wasn't happening. Yeah. And I remember ending the conversation with you saying, you know, Ian, there's going to be a day when you step outside our home and you're going to have to deal with God directly. But right now, I'm your buffer. And so the discipline from the Lord, really, he's counting on me to do that, to get your heart right. But there's a day when he's going to take over. And if you think I'm harsh, he cares a lot more about your soul than he does your pink little body. And so, and that's kind of how it ended. And it was just stiff-necked, and you just weren't really having it. And so I remember I went down to my office, and my heart was just heavy because I just felt like my son's heart was rebellious, and I just couldn't get there. And I said, Lord, I don't know what to do. I can't get him there. I've exhausted all of my ability. I'm turning him over to you, Lord. I'm letting, please take and do what I cannot do. And it was about 2 hours later when you came into my office. Do you remember this?
I think so, yeah.
And you sat down and you started to weep.
Yeah.
And I said, what is it? And you looked at me and you said, why does God's discipline have to be so hard? Yeah. And it had to do with a paper route that you were supposed to do. You were supposed to take a paper route for a friend. Yeah. You'd completely forgotten. It had been 2 days, and calls were coming in from all over the neighborhood and from the police, not police, but
they arrested me. It was
from the paper. And your heart had just been completely crushed. Yeah. And in that moment, you recognized it. That's what I was so grateful, is that you recognized that the Lord was intervening to massage you, to get you to a place where you were humble. And I took that moment to just say, Ian, God loves you, I love you, and we just want your heart to be right. And so we're going to do what we can in that love to get you there. So anyway, that was Ian. He was very, very self-aware and always willing to self-evaluate, and always had a deep desire to improve himself. And I think that really came to a culmination later on in college, a couple of years later, where you kind of came to a point where it's like, I got to change my future outcome because this isn't so good. Yeah. So.
Well, let's talk about that, because that was kind of the point in your life where you had to make that choice of, am I going to continue in this way, or am I going to make a change? And what was it that ultimately brought your heart back in those moments? Can you give us a little background for that moment, and then what was it that brought you to the decision that you made?
Yeah. So, and I'll try not to cry throughout this podcast. There's been one or two moments getting close. Oh my. So you guys kept me from self-destructing.
we tried
in high school. And I tried my best. So on paper, I wasn't necessarily a bad kid. I didn't, do any of those crazy outlying behaviors, but obviously in my heart, I was extremely rebellious in the fact that I just thought I knew better. And, I don't think I'm unique in the fact that I had like childlike ambition. I think that's where a lot of it stemmed from. Parents out there with your kids, I'm sure you have a child that just thinks that they're going to be the best in the world. And maybe you think they will be. I don't know. But I'm sorry, they won't. But I definitely was, there was a level of arrogance deep rooted in my heart. And then, girls became a big part of my ambition and my focus.
Yeah.
Later starting in high school and all the way through, and then in college too. And through some breakups, sports ending not like I wanted it to.
Disappointing endings.
Endings, that's really, I think, what captures my, teenage years up until before I left to college was having, disappointing endings. Mm-hmm. Where it just did not go the way that you hoped it would or expected it to.
Right.
And then going to college, I just said, heck with this town. I'm amazing, and I'm going to go take over the world and be great at what I do. Go lift a bunch of weights, get all the girls. And I was, of all the classes, not like it was a, calculus or anything like that, but I think it was a psychology class. It was a psychology class, the first exam of my college career. And I got a C- or something. And that just, like, what? Absolutely rocked my world.
Really?
I had already started to feel a little bit of loneliness. Like maybe there was some, maybe mom and dad aren't so bad. And then I get this C on this exam, and that just absolutely, first of all, it potentially ended my opportunity to get into the architecture program, which is what I was shooting for. Now there's real world consequences for my actions or my lack of preparedness.
Yeah.
And so I was concerned, obviously, with, we're going to have to change careers. Now this is starting to impact, not just the temporary, but the long run. And so that just absolutely it really broke me. I came back, I went back to my dorm, and I opened up my Bible, thankfully, and the Lord brought me to a verse, hatred stirreth up strife, but love covers all sins. And, we haven't talked about hatred really yet, but at the core of it, I think that was more than anything, maybe even more than pride, was there had been such a dissatisfied taste in my mouth that I really actually had like hatred in my heart towards coaches, ex-girlfriends, friends, Williston in general. I never hated mom or dad, but obviously I was dissatisfied with a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hatred for a lot of these other people, and that verse just totally changed my perspective.
Wow.
Hatred stirreth up strife, but love covers all sins. It dawned on me, the Holy Spirit, showed me that hatred that's in my heart didn't stay in Williston. It came with me. Wherever I go, wherever I go, it's going to stay with me. And I need to choose love, and I need to choose forgiveness. And obviously, looking back, it's so silly because, many of these people that did wrong me, I wronged them just as much, if not more in some instances, of course. And so that began a path of me, like, first of all, forgiving them, but also then trying to do what I could to mend those relationships where possible, at least offer apologies and that sort of thing for those that I had treated wrongly in high school. So anyway, that's probably the long answer, but that's really the culmination of like where it eventually went to, and that was that pivotal moment for me in my life, freshman year in college, where I had to choose to love and not to hate. So,
wow, I don't think I've ever heard that. That's quite a testimony. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
it's powerful. So.
Yeah. Well, We are about out of time
Okay.
here. But what I would like maybe from each of you is provide a few encouraging words maybe to someone who either the child who is feeling that hardness of heart, or to the parents who are dealing with the child with the hardness of heart.
There's nothing that will test you as a child of the King more than, I think, a child that's in rebellion. And I learned a lot about myself going through some of those challenges with you, Ian. I learned that Mr. Spock does have an emotional point where if he goes past, it's not good. And so went there a couple times, and it surprised myself. So everybody's got that limit. But I think, as I think of those years where we were really trying to help you through that, I just remember a couple of conversations with you, Ian, where I said, Ian, I have to discipline you, but I want you to know how much I love you. So that discipline with love, I think, is a key point here. And I remember sharing with you one particular conversation stands out where I told you, I said, Ian, you got so much gold inside of you. The Lord has given you such incredible talent and such an incredible personality and such ability and such strength. And you're a lion personality, and I'm not. I'm a retriever personality. So that was a challenge for me to figure out how to manage a lion. And I said, but there's so much gold inside of you. And I remember you in your moment of humility that you kind of hung your head and you said, oh, I just feel like I'm just so tarnished though, Dad. And I don't think that gold's ever going to shine. I said, Ian, that's why I'm rubbing you so hard. We're going to keep rubbing until you shine. And you allowed me to do that. And so I think what I want to share with you, Mom and Dad, is that relationship, even though there's hard times that you go through, sometimes those hard times are the things that give you the strongest bond to weather the storm. And so, and there'll be times when you're not going to like your kid and your kid's not going to like you. But that love and that maturity and that determination, I remember telling, I think it was you, where I said, listen, if I have to quit my job, sell our house and move to the mountains and be a hermit just to raise you up so that I don't lose you, I will do that. Yeah. You need to understand that I have the intestinal fortitude and love you so much, I will do whatever it takes. And when they understand that you're serious and that you're willing to give all for them and their future, that's powerful. And they will come back to that. And I also remember sharing with you, you're going to get out in that world and you think that it's going to be fantastic. But the world's going to chew you up and spit you out. And when it spits you out, I want you to remember, you always have a place here. Our love will never give up on you. And so, Mom and Dad, don't ever give up on your children. And sometimes some of those kids can really take you for a ride. Just don't give up on them. The Lord doesn't give up on us. We can't give up on our kids. And tap into that Holy Spirit. You have access to a power that those without the Lord don't have, and that is the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit working on your heart and the Holy Spirit working on your child's heart. So,
I don't think I could say anything better than that. I definitely would, that unconditional love that you speak of, though, that is what will keep your kids from self-destructing. That is what will cause your children to remember to open their Bible in their time of need. Don't give up on them. Love them. Instill those anchor points. Do fun things with them. Do fun things with them.
Yeah.
If
even
mom and dad,
maybe when you don't feel like it.
Even when you don't feel like it, when mom and dad, whenever you're around your mom and dad, it's work time. That's not something to build a foundation on. Work needs to be done. I believe that, just as much as anybody. But your kids got to know that mom and dad are there to have fun with you and to build memories. So build those anchor points and don't give up on them. Just like you said, that unconditional love, that's what's gonna take you through the other side. So, yeah.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Ian, for being willing to be part of this. We're out on the convention circuit a lot and different churches, and I just finished up a couple of conferences for father-son retreats in Colorado, and they saw you guys when you were younger, and we get questions. Well, how are your kids? Where are they at? What are they doing? And so, it's just it's my father's joy to be able to share, the journeys that our kids have gone through, and yours is a special journey, and to share with them how the Lord has just worked a mighty work in your lives. And then, when you made that pivotal turn in your life, God's blessings just started pouring out upon you, bringing Tess into your life, and just amazing things started happening. And there's just an incredible blessing waiting when we are willing to submit ourselves to the obedience of God's call, even if it doesn't feel like it's what our flesh wants, which is often the case. So anyway, just encouragement there too, that, you realize, I can either do this on my own without God's blessing, or I can submit and take it and receive it. And so anyway, Tess was a big part of your story, and we're so grateful. Obviously, she's a key part of our ministry today, and so grateful for you, Tess, and what you bring to that home over there. So
amen. Absolutely.
Thank you both. Love you both so much.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to The Warrior's Heart. You can find out more about Chuck's action-packed Christian allegory novels for ages 8 to adult on his website, chuckblack.com. If you want to hear about new episodes of The Warrior's Heart, please hit the subscribe button below, and please hit the like button if you felt strengthened by today's episode. Also, you can stay up to date with the latest of Chuck Black's resources for Christian families, including new faith-building books and audios, by subscribing to his email newsletter. Follow the link in the description below to sign up. Finally, it is our sincere prayer that this podcast would equip you, brave warrior of Christ, to put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you've done everything, to stand.